Europe is living through its third heat wave in less than 2 months, and this week, a report landed that is worse than almost anyone expected. Health trackers backed by the World Health Organization just confirmed that more than 10,000 people across the continent died because of the heat, and most of them were over the age of 65. That is not a rough guess. That is real data, pulled from hospitals and death records across 27 countries. But here is the part that should worry you the most. This heat wave is not finished. It is not even close to finished. Right now, while you are watching this, a fresh wave of heat is spreading north across the map, heading straight for places that thought they had already escaped the worst of it. I am going to show you exactly where this heat is going next, and why the nights might be the most dangerous part of the entire story. The death toll nobody saw coming. Let's start with the numbers, because they tell a story all on their own. June 2026 just became the hottest June ever recorded across Western Europe. Not the hottest in 10 years, not the hottest in 50 years, the hottest since records began. For the whole planet, it was the second hottest June ever measured. During that single month, more than 94 million people across Europe lived through temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius. That is close to 100 million people baking under heat that most of their homes were never built to handle. Now let's talk about the deaths, because this is the part that hits the hardest. A health network backed by the World Health Organization tracked deaths across 27 countries during the last week of June alone. They found more than 10,000 more deaths than normal for that time of year. Most of those who died, over 9,000 of them, were 65 or older. Scientists at Imperial College London looked closer and found that 42% of those deaths happened specifically because of the extra heat that climate change piled on top of a normal summer. Germany's own health institute separately estimated between 4,410 and 5,850 heat-related deaths in the country alone by the end of June. In Belgium, health officials confirmed 1,747 excess deaths in just 2 weeks, making it the deadliest heat wave the country has seen in 30 years. In the Netherlands, the heat did not let up for 11 straight days, the longest heat wave ever recorded there. These are not just numbers on a page. Behind every single one of them is a person who went to bed on a normal night and did not wake up the next morning. And here is the part that should really sit with you. This data is from the heat wave that already happened. The one happening right now, as you watch this, could add even more names to that total before it is over. If you want to know when this kind of heat is coming to your part of the world, before it ever shows up on the evening news, that is exactly what I cover on this channel. Hit subscribe and turn on your notifications, because I track these patterns every single day, and I will always give you the warning early. The lid over Europe. So why does this keep happening, over and over, in the same summer? To understand that, we need to look at what is actually sitting over the continent right now. Picture the sky over Europe like a giant pot with a lid clamped down tight on top. Weather experts call this kind of pattern a heat dome, but you do not need the fancy name to understand what it does. Hot, dry air gets pulled up from the Sahara Desert in North Africa. Once that air reaches Europe, a wall of high pressure seals it in place, just like a lid trapping steam inside a pot. That lid stops clouds from forming. It stops rain from falling, and it keeps pressing that hot air down toward the ground, where it just keeps building and building. This is not a one-time event. Europe has already lived through this exact pattern 3 separate times in less than 2 months. The first wave hit in late May. The second wave, far worse, struck in late June and shattered records in country after country. France recorded its hottest day since record-keeping began back in 1947, with one town hitting 44.3 degrees Celsius. Poland broke a national heat record that had stood for 105 years, when the town of Sleepless hit 41 degrees. Now a third wave is building, and it is not sitting still. It is spreading north and east, reaching countries that thought the worst had already passed them by. Here's where it gets interesting. Every single time this lid seems like it might finally lift, it slams back down somewhere else on the map. That is exactly what is happening again right now, and it is why the nights have become just as dangerous as the days. The nights that never cool down. Most people assume the real danger in a heat wave is the blazing afternoon sun. But ask any doctor who treats heat patients, and they will tell you the real danger often hides at night. On a normal summer night, your body cools down while you sleep. Temperatures drop, the air dries out a little, and your body gets a real break to recover before the next hot day begins. But during this heat wave, the air across much of Europe has stayed thick and wet, almost like a warm, damp towel wrapped around every single city. That trapped moisture stops the ground from releasing its heat properly, so instead of cooling down to a comfortable level overnight, many cities are only dropping a few degrees before the sun comes back up. In parts of eastern Germany, one weather station recorded a night that never dropped below 29.4 degrees Celsius, the warmest night ever measured in that country. This is exactly why the Netherlands just recorded its longest heat wave ever, 11 straight days without a real break in the heat. Your body needs that overnight drop to reset itself. Without it, heat stress just keeps building, day after day, instead of resetting back to normal. That is one big reason doctors say older adults and people with heart conditions are facing the highest risk right now. Their bodies simply never get the chance to fully cool back down before the next hot day hits them again. To understand how far this heat is about to spread next, we need to look at exactly where it is headed. The third wave is already here. This week, the heat crossed into brand new territory. In the United Kingdom, the Met Office issued amber warnings for southern England, forecasting temperatures up to 35 degrees Celsius, while officially confirming this year already holds the record for the most days above 34 degrees in UK history. In Poland, that 105-year-old record did not just get broken, it got completely shattered. In the Netherlands, a brand new regional heatwave officially kicked off today, pushing the danger even further north than before. In Spain, the historic Fabra Observatory in Barcelona, which has been recording weather for more than a century, just logged its hottest temperature ever on July 8th. Governments across the continent are already reacting to what is happening. France banned alcohol in public spaces under its highest heat alert zones, since drinking in extreme heat raises the risk of collapse. Spain canceled outdoor sporting events entirely. Officials across the UK issued fresh warnings about dangerous, sleepless nights ahead. And it does not stop there. The World Health Organization held an emergency call last week, with representatives from 41 different countries, warning that another wave of extreme heat is already building out over the Atlantic Ocean. Forecasters expect Portugal and southern Spain to climb back up to 43 degrees Celsius within days. This is no longer a single heat wave. It has become a chain reaction, one wave building right behind another, with barely enough time in between for the land, the rivers, or the people to recover. What happens after the heat breaks? Even when this current wave finally does ease off, the story is far from over. Weeks of extreme heat have already dried out the soil across huge parts of Western Europe. Rivers in France, Spain, and Portugal are running dangerously low. That dry, cracked land becomes fuel. Wildfires are already tearing through Portugal, Spain, and southern France, and one fire near Almeria, Spain, has already killed at least 12 people. Even after temperatures finally drop, the ground stays cracked and dry for weeks afterward. Farmers are already reporting serious crop damage. Hospitals that have been stretched thin for weeks will need real time to recover too. Some scientists studying this summer's pattern put the total death toll from all of 2026's heat waves as high as 20,000 people once every region finishes counting, though that number is still being confirmed. And climate researchers are warning this will not be the last heat wave of the summer. Another one could form again before this month is even over. That is the real story here. This is not just one hot week that will pass and be forgotten. It is a pattern that keeps repeating itself, growing more intense and reaching further north every single time it comes back. If this update helped you understand what is really happening across Europe right now, do me a favor and hit like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss the next one. Has the heat reached where you live yet, or are you still waiting for it to arrive? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one.